Hello everyone, welcome to this video lecture on measurements introduction. Okay, so before moving on to the subject, so I will give a basic overview about this subject. So this subject totally has 6 units. The first unit is measurement basics. Under measurement basics, you have classification of instruments, types of errors in instruments, types of torques in an instrument. Okay, so only 3 subdivisions. So as an electrical student, you should know what are the electrical parameters and what is the instrument used to measure the electrical parameters, what are the errors involved in the electrical instruments and how do you rectify it, and what are the different types of torques present in an instrument. Torques is basically a force. So what are the different types of torques present in an instrument? So all these 3 topics will come under the first unit, measurement basic. The second unit is voltage and current measurement. Again you have 3 subdivisions, ranges in current and voltage. So what are the different ranges of current and voltage? Calibration of current and voltage. So basically calibration means how to rectify voltmeter and ammeter. So you use instrument called ammeter to measure current. So how do you rectify an ammeter to measure when you measure current? And how do you rectify voltmeter when you measure voltage? So that is a calibration of current and voltage. Okay, and the last topic will be principle of PMMC. PMMC is nothing but permanent magnet moving coil. MI is moving ion and electrodynamometer. So these 3 are instruments. We will learn the working principle of these instruments and the construction. So these 3 subdivisions will come under unit 2, voltage and current measurement. The third unit is power measurement. Okay, in power measurement you will learn principle and construction of dynamo type wattmeter. So what is a wattmeter? So you know the unit of power is watt. So you use wattmeter to measure power. So in the third unit you will learn the construction and the working principle of dynamo type wattmeter and what are the methods to measure power in wattmeter and how do you measure power factor in wattmeter. So if the power is AC, then there is a factor called power factor. Okay, so how do you measure power factor in wattmeter and what are the errors present in an wattmeter and how do you compensate it? And the next topic will be polyphase wattmeter, digital wattmeter. How do you measure power digitally? So all these topics will be under unit 3, power measurement. And the next topic is energy meter. So under energy meter you will learn the construction and the basic principle of energy meter. What are the errors present in an energy meter and how do you compensate it? And how do you calibrate an energy meter? So energy meter is an instrument and it might have an error. So if it is having an error, how do you calibrate it? So that you will learn in the third subdivision. And the last subdivision is construction and working principle of single phase and 3-phase energy meter. So if you are measuring energy for a 3-phase unit, for a AC supply, it will come under 3-phase energy. It will come under 3-phase energy meter. So how do you measure AC energy? So that is your 4th subdivision. And the last one is electronic energy meter. So all these topics will come under 4th unit, energy meter. And the 5th unit you will learn about other electrical meters. Okay, so current meter, voltmeter, ammeter, voltmeter, wattmeter, energy meter, all these are common instruments that you would use to measure electrical parameters. But apart from that, you will also learn other electrical meters that will be in your 5th unit. So you will learn power factor meter, you will learn frequency meter, you will learn synchronoscope, you will learn phase sequence meter, you will learn clip-on ammeter, Q meter. So all these are different instruments used to measure different electrical parameters. So you will learn the construction and the basic principle, the working for these instruments. So this is under unit 5. So in unit 6 you will learn what are the different circuit parameters and how do you measure. So for say if you take a circuit, the circuit will have a voltmeter, ammeter, resistance. So in that case how do you measure it? So under the 6th unit you have classification of resistors and how do you measure resistance. What is a digital multimeter? What is an LCR meter? So all these subdivisions will come under unit 6. So these are different topics present in electrical measurement subject. Okay, so hope you got an overview of what you are going to learn in this subject. So before going into this presentation, I will tell you what are the contents you are going to learn in this presentation. So what is measurement? What is the need for measurement? Why do you need to measure? And what are the different electrical basics? And what is the current standard? How do you measure it? What is the voltage standard? How do you measure it? What is the standard resistance? How do you measure it? All this you will learn in this presentation. So basically, what is a measurement? Why do we need to measure? So for example, your mom is asking you to buy a sugar. So you don't go to a shop and ask for, I want some sugar. So you ask to the shopkeeper defining in some quantity. Okay, so you ask either for a kg of sugar or you ask for 100 grams of sugar. And similarly, if you go to a petrol bunk and if you want to fill your vehicle, you don't say I want to fill some petrol. You will say I want to fill 1 liter petrol. You want to say I want to fill 2 liters petrol. So there is a quantity, there is a predefined standard when you want to do some measurement. Okay, so this predefined standard should be acceptable to all. So in India, we say it is liter, and in abroad also, if you go, it is a liter only. So there you don't say some other unit, and here you don't say some other unit. The unit is common to all. So that is why it is called as predefined standard. So what is basically a measurement? So measurement is nothing but a comparison between an unknown quantity and a predefined standard. Okay, so suppose you want to measure the length of a particular cloth. So what do? You take a scale or a tape and you measure the cloth. So the cloth is an unknown quantity which you have in your hand, and the scale or your tape is your predefined standard because it is having some units, centimeter and inches. So you take a cloth, measure it using a predefined standard using the tape. So measurement is nothing but a comparison between an unknown quantity and a predefined standard. And all measurements will have a numerical value. So you want to go and buy some cloth, means you don't say I want some cloth. You say I want 5 meters cloth. You say I want 2 meters cloth. You say I want 1 liter petrol. You say I want half kg sugar. So it has a numerical value. And what are the basic requirements for a measurement? So for a measurement, the standard value should be properly defined and commonly accepted. So I already told you it should be a predefined standard and it should be acceptable to all. So liter is the unit which is acceptable to all. It is commonly accepted. It is a properly defined standard. So any measurement should have a properly defined standard. Okay, and the measurement or the apparatus which you would like to measure should be provable. So what do you mean by provable? It should be error free. I cannot measure a particular quantity with an instrument which is having an error. So that instrument should be error free. Only then I can measure. So it means that instrument or apparatus which I would like to measure should be provable. So these are the two important requirements for a measurement. So the significance of measurement starts with Lord Kelvin's statement. So what does he say? He says, when you can measure what you are speaking about, and if you can express it in numbers, you know something about it. So I told you, whenever you measure, it should be in a numerical number, in a numerical value. Only when it is in a numerical value, then there is some fact about it. When you cannot express it in numbers, the knowledge is meager and it is unsatisfactory. If there is no numerical value for a measurement, then you cannot have a satisfaction. Any new measurement should validate a hypothesis. For example, if I am proposing a standard, supposing if I am proposing a unit for a particular standard, then it should properly validate the hypothesis. What do you mean by hypothesis? It is a theoretical standard. So it should validate or it should prove the theoretical standard. So if it is not proving a theoretical standard, then it results in an unending chain leading to new discoveries and sophisticated measurements. So if I am not able to prove with a theoretical standard, then it results in an unending chain. New discoveries will often happen, and you end up creating new instruments. So that is why it is important to achieve goals and functions when you do a measurement. So for achieving goals and functions in a measurement, the equipment should be properly designed, it should be provable, and the equipment should have a proper operation and maintenance of equipment. Okay, what are the different effects of electricity? So far we were learning how we can measure a particular quantity. But as an electrical student, you need to know what are the different quantities you will measure, what are the different electrical quantities you will measure, and how do you measure. So what are the different fundamental electrical quantities? They are current, resistance, and voltage. So all these quantities are defined basically by Ohm's law. So V is equal to IR. This is a standard law. So when I know two values, then I can automatically find out the other value. For example, if I want to find out the value of voltage, if I know the current value and resistance value, I will be able to find out voltage. And similarly, if I know the value of voltage and resistance, I can find out the value of current. And if I know the value of voltage and current, I can find out the value of resistance. And all the standards of EMF, resistance are maintained in National Laboratory. The electrical standards for these fundamental quantities are absolute ampere, voltage standard, resistance standard. So in this lecture we will understand how these standards are defined. So first is current standard. So initially the current standard was defined using this particular experiment. So they took two parallel straight conductors. The two parallel straight conductors was kept at a distance of 1 meter, and these two parallel straight conductors was for an infinite length. So these two parallel conductors was kept for an infinite length in a vacuum, and these two conductors were kept at a distance of 1 meter. When it is done, it displaces a force of 2 into 10 power minus Newton, and the current measured for that particular force, we call it as ampere. So that is how ampere was defined for this particular experiment. So you have two conductors for an infinite length, and these two conductors were separated for a distance of 1 meter, and the force was found to be 2 into 10 power minus 7 Newton. And when you measure the current for this particular force, it was defined as an ampere, and this ampere was found to be, and the unit for this current was found to be 1 ampere. And this particular experiment was not successful because you are taking two conductors for an infinite length. So they came up with an international ampere standard. So in an international ampere standard, you had a vessel which contains silver nitrate solution, and you are having an electrode in which the silver was made to deposit at the rate of 0.000118 gram per centimeter. Okay, I repeat. So you are taking a vessel in which silver nitrate solution was kept, and you have an electrode, and this electrode deposited silver at the rate of 0.000118 gram per centimeter, and you measure the current for this particular silver deposition, and that you defined as international ampere. And again this had a problem because the silver deposition measurement was inaccurate. So they did not accept this particular international ampere standard. So they went for absolute ampere definition. So in absolute ampere definition, you take two long conductors and you find out what is the force exerted for these two long conductors. And you measure the value of current for these two long conductors. And this is absolute ampere definition. And this is provable, and this was acceptable by all, and now we have this absolute ampere definition. So current standard is now measured using absolute ampere. So what is absolute ampere definition? You take two long conductors for any distance, and you separate these two long conductors by a distance d. Okay, you don't specify any distance. It is separated by a distance d, and you find out what is the force exerted from these conductors, and you measure the current, and this current we call it as absolute ampere. Okay, so this is how we were finding out the current standard. So now we move on to voltage standard. So how do we define voltage standard? So the first voltage standard was found out by using standard cell or standard cell based on electrochemical cell. But this was not acceptable by all because it was temperature dependent, and so they went for another alternative in which the standard voltage was having a thin film junction and it was cooled for about 0 degrees Celsius. So you take a thin film junction, cool it for 0 degrees Celsius, and you pass microwave energy. So when you pass microwave energy, it will have a frequency. So thus they found out the voltage. So you can measure the voltage using an equation called H into F divided by 2E, where H is Planck's constant, F is the frequency of the microwave, and E is the charge of the air. So you take a standard, you measure the standard voltage using a thin film, and this thin film was cooled for a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius, and you pass a microwave energy. So you find out what is the voltage present when you pass the microwave energy, and the and you can measure the voltage using the formula H into F divided by 2E. So this was how they defined the standard voltage using this experiment. But again, this was not accurate, so they went for another experiment where it uses Western cell. So in Western cell, it had a H-shaped glass. So they took a cadmium sulfate solution in which cadmium amalgam was taken in one particular tube and mercury was taken in another tube. So the tube which is having mercury is a positive electrode, and the tube which is having cadmium amalgam was taken as a negative electrode. So you have a solution of cadmium sulfate, deposit cadmium amalgam in and this tube is said to be negative electrode, deposit mercury, and this is taken as a positive electrode. And now these two tubes we call one cell as saturated cell, the other cell as unsaturated cell. So saturated cell was found to have a constant temperature irrespective of voltage. So the voltage present was 40 microvolt per degree Celsius, and the voltage seemed to be constant for any variation in temperature. But whereas for an unsaturated cell, the voltage tried to change for different temperature. The voltage was found to be around 1 volt for 600 to 800 ohms, and there was some amount of current flowing through it. So this the saturated cell was taken as a standard, and the in unsaturated cell they took a quantity in which you had to measure, and from the reference they measured the quantity for which you have to measure the voltage. So unsaturated cell had a constant voltage of 40 microvolt per degree Celsius irrespective of temperature, whereas unsaturated cell had a variation in voltage, and in unsaturated cell we take the quantity for which the voltage need to be measured. So this was considered to measure standard voltage, and this is using Western cell. And again, this particular system was not accurate, so they went for another system where they used laboratory standards. Okay, so in laboratory standards they took a Zener diode. So we all know Zener diode will have a reference voltage. So they fixed the reference voltage, and they found out the voltage for which it has to be measured. So you have a reference voltage, you have a resistor for which the voltage has to be measured. So from the reference voltage, the undefined quantity was measured using laboratory standard. Finally, the laboratory standard was found to be acceptable when compared to these techniques. Next, coming to resistance standard. So the measure of resistance is SI system. SI system is nothing but international standard system, where R is given by rho L by A. Rho is resistivity, L is the length of the resistance wire, and A is the cross-sectional area of the wire. And if we know these three parameters, we will be able to measure the resistance. And for measuring the resistance, they took a magnet wire with this type of construction. So you take a magnet wire for which the resistance has to be for which the resistance is predefined, and you take this magnet wire or resistant wire in a double wall container and you measure the resistance. So this measurement of resistance was considered to be a standard, but they found out this particular way of measuring is inaccurate, so they went for using transfer resistance. So all laboratory standard resistance were called as transfer resistance. They took these transfer resistance in a sealed container, that is moisture free oil sealed container, and the resistor was made of polyester film. The resistor, which we call it as transfer resistor as laboratory standard, was taken in polyester film, and it was taken in moisture free oil container, and from that they measured the standard resistance. So this particular measurement was found to be standard and it was acceptable. So this is how the measurement standard, the resistance standard was measured. So this is all about my today's lecture. So in today's lecture we have seen what is a measurement, and what are the requirements of measurement, and what are the different standards for different electrical quantities like voltage, resistance and current. So we know for current the acceptable standard is absolute ampere, and for voltage standard we use a Zener diode as a reference and we measure the voltage, and for resistance we take a polyester film, take it in an oil free container and measure the resistance. So this laboratory standard resistance was called as transfer resistance, and this is how we measure. So this is all about today's presentation. So I will give you some reference books from which you can refer the other contents. So the first book will cover the today's presentation lecture and you can refer that. Thank you.